Welcome to Homestead, Miami. Of course, the scene for Michael Haflidason winning the championship just about 6 months ago now. But this time it is round 5 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Oval Series. And of course, the championship is heating up. At the end of this race, we will be a third of the way through the regular season as all the drivers try and lock themselves into that all-important playoffs when we get there later in the year. And Las Vegas will start the round of 15 in March 2025. It's been a hotly contested opening 4 races of the season, a few different drivers winning, but of course it's Jesper Eriksson who's come out swinging, getting 2 wins out of the 4 and looking very strong indeed. However, in the previous race, he did actually lose out at the stage 1 across the line. We called it that Jesper Eriksson won the first stage, but in the results by 0.000, Alex Aronson in the 24 managed to just get his splitter across the line in front of Jesper Eriksson. So it's not all plain sailing, and there's still plenty of opportunities for some drivers to get some wins. We'll see what happens here. Homestead, Miami, a very fun track indeed, as myself, Cameron Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast as we bring you through 138 laps today for the Cancer Awareness 333, sponsored by Kenneth Tier in the number 49 entry. Here is your schedule that we've been going through: Auto Club, Bristol, Kansas, Talladega, all done. And now we go to, of course, Homestead before we work our way through the rest of the regular season to finish in Daytona. What fun that is going to be. And then eventually we'll crown our champion in Phoenix, but that is still in way in May 2020.
Yeah, certainly. It is good to be back again on the Oval Series, it's fair to say. No time to settle in, though, even after the Super Speedway here at Talladega 2 weeks ago. We're at 1.5 miles for now, but then we're going to Indianapolis, our only road course of the season. Then to the tricky triangle at Pocono before we can maybe get settled in. Feels like Iowa, Charlotte, Nashville might be a nice run of sort of intermediate tracks to go through. Then it gets a little bit weird towards the end again with New Hampshire, Darlington and Daytona. But plenty to look forward to over the course of 333 kilometers tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season, as you're mentioning. You know, get the road course in there. It's going to be something a bit different. Double header as well. Loads of different challenges for the drivers. Here's how we stand, though, in terms of the points. Linus Broström leading the way by 16 points. But remember, Jesper Eriksson, when he disconnected from the lead in Bristol a couple of races ago. So there's definitely points missing on the board. And, of course, with the 2 wins, he will technically be leading once we get all of that worked out as well. So, yeah, definitely a room for improvement for a lot of the drivers. But it's so close right now after just 4 races that it's going to be hard to say who's going to get in the top 15 for the playoffs. We'll have to see how that one evolves over the course of the season. It's a tricky circuit here tonight as well, Ewan. We have loads of different lines that are able to be used, but actually we'll get to that in a moment because the qualifying is finished, and here is your grid. It's Dan Holmer putting it on the front row alongside his teammate Jesper Eriksson. Swim Race Sweden coming out very strong, and a third of their cars, Åkesson in 3rd place. Suzuki is in 4th. Oliver Bohlin, Morby Bright Esports, all 3rd row with Alex Aronson alongside him in the number 24. Peter Helmbro is there in 7th with Holmbom in 8th. There we got Lundberg and Forsland inside your top 10 with Tuminen and Schott rounding out the top 12. Hagström and Dahlström are inside your 7th row with Peppels and Marcus Hogman, who's looking very strong over the course of the season in that number 12 machine. Kenneth Tier, your sponsor for tonight's race, is in 17th place. Linus Broström down in 18th place. He's got a lot of work to do at the start here in Homestead. Helm and Wildebauer are inside your top 20 with Bratberg, Motin, Blomqvist and Pfeffer rounding out your top 24 for the race tonight. And then your final page is Nordgren, Broström, Wang, Kiddle and Marcus Stiller, who'll be starting at the back, I think like he did actually at the previous race in Talladega as well, after not setting a lap time there. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one, although I'm just getting a note actually that Dan Holmer has a end of the line and will have to drop to the back despite putting it on pole position today.
Yeah, a fourth different pole sitter, adding his name to the list of Oliver Bohlin, Jesper Eriksson with 2, and of course with Linus Broström also getting 1 as well. So Hummel, I think, will still be credited with pole position. Here is what we've got for us in the bottom right. It's 138 laps, as we said. Stage points allocated on lap 60. So far, the guy with the most stage points is Magnus Hogman, who's currently in 3rd place in the championship standings. 4 tyre sets as always. tyres. That means 3 tyre sets to go on 2, because those 4 include the one they start the race on. 85% fuel capacity means that they will all need to stop likely before that first stage, and they'll all likely need to make at least 2 stops in the course of the race.
Yes, so we've been told that fuel is around 55 to 58 laps. So with the stage on lap 60, I'm sure there might be someone try it. We've seen it a few times this season, and it potentially can work, but it depends how the race goes and how the train of cars is going. Of course, actually, how we get if we get any cautions in the opening part of the race, that can always help those trying to stay out, or even those pitting early. But as you say, Ewan, if you times that by 2, there won't be enough to get to the end, and they'll need a few extra laps. So 2-stop race, but quite a lot of leeway to work out. And there is the 79. Unfortunately, your pole position driver going to the back of the grid. And I guess he's got good speed today, Ewan, so he might be able to jump up back to the front.
Absolutely. We'll see if he is able to do that, but I'm not entirely sure how easy that's going to be. Only 29 in the field tonight, so a little bit smaller field maybe than what we've seen in the past, but either way, it's going to be a big run through the field indeed if he can make it. Let's see though, as we get ourselves towards the line, ready for round 5 of the series. See if we can get Jesper Eriksson maybe to 3 victories after taking that one at Talladega 2 weeks ago.
And this has worked out very nice for Melvin Åkesson in the 086 machine, who will be on that inside line as we come to the green flag as the Cancer Awareness 333 round 5 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Oval Series. And we're underway here at Homestead, Miami. We go into turn 1 for the first time as we see the drivers use all the different lines. High line will definitely be used quite a bit around here with the banking that we have around this circuit, but it looks like everyone has got away fairly nicely at the front, but we're already seeing some cars or waft out trying to make overtakes.
Yeah, Jesper Eriksson has held on to the lead. He's effectively the pole sitter from the beginning of this race. As a result, Melvin Åkesson gets into second place, Dominic Sawicki into third. Alton is the first driver to have made... Listen to... Oh, we got trouble already!
Certainly do. The 61 machine has gone around, and that is not ideal. That is Hagström. Actually, loads of cars involved. The 49 Kenneth Tier, he is right there in the middle of the race, and so many drivers, even just at the end of the first lap, coming through 3 and 4. There was trouble. We got Broström in the pit lane, Hagström as well. Even Marcus Hogman in the 12 machine is going towards the back, and Forsland as well, who's been in one too many incidents so far this season.
Goodness me, that's a big opening crash. We'll try and get a view as to who on earth is involved in that, but that was absolutely massive. I was just thinking before this race that this style of circuit, when we've seen at Auto Club and at Kansas, this style of circuit hasn't produced very many cautions for us so far this season. Just the one at Auto Club, just the one at Kansas. Well, if this is the only one here today, then it's certainly made its mark on this race. Lots of drivers damaged. Bjorn Broström had to immediately tow back to pit lane there.
Certainly, he must have had a big collision. We got Anton Bratberg in the 111 from the middle of the pack. He's come in already. And as we were mentioning in terms of the fuel numbers, if everyone stays out and then it goes green to the end of the first stage, we might be able to get there. But those who pit now will definitely be able to get there in that situation. Let's see this once more, though, and how this worked out. He actually lost it himself in front of one of the Sim Race Sweden cars, and then it was just, of course, the carnage afterwards. Everyone's slowing down, getting involved, huge contact. There must be about 10 or 15 cars on the screen there, all making contact.
So who was that initially spinning? Was that Hagström or Broström? Because I couldn't see whether that was 61 or 41. Hagström, yeah. I thought it might have been.
Yeah, the pit machine.
Then this is all of this afterwards. It's just after effects of trying to avoid, I suppose, isn't it? And just nowhere to go. You don't expect this on the opening lap. Everyone's so close together, and so many have got involved. I mean, I'm not sure everyone who's come in has actually got damage, but we've got 12 in the pit lane, or 11 in the pit lane. Sorry, it's my numbers.
If we look at those with longer stops who obviously have had damage, I mean, we've got Dahlstrand in there. He was, that's all pink and black car in the middle of the screen. Peppels has had a long stop. Hogman, Tier, Bratberg, Blomqvist, Nordgren, Broström. So many drivers having long stops here. Because even those with a bit of damage, maybe some optional repairs, they might as well go in now because they're going to be at the back of the line anyway. So you can use up a bit of your time during this caution period. I think that's Helm the 55 in the background there, just slowing down, half coming into the pit lane. They're managing to stop and not go in. So tough start here, Ewan.
Yeah, we always do to get this, though, don't we, in these races? I'm not entirely sure what it is, but the opening green flag runs of races are very rarely very long for whatever reason. Auto Club was just a few laps. Of course, we didn't get very far at Bristol in any of the runs, to be fair, so that's not too much of a surprise. But Kansas, we were less than 10. Talladega was okay, because we got through, I think, the first few stint, actually. But on these intermediate kind of circuits, Kansas and Auto Club, we'd never seem to get any very far. We've still not managed 10 laps of an opening green flag run in a 1.5 mile style circuit, which we've now had 3 of, this being the 3rd.
I guess it's just a tricky one out there. Not as carnage-filled as we saw last week in the IndyCars, I hope. But as we come back to the ovals, hopefully everyone is going to bed into this track. It is a tough one, though. It really is a tough one. The corners are quite tight around here, but a lot of banking to try and help you out on that. But we're going to come back to the green flag, though, and look how little cars are in this front group. We go back to green flag racing. Jesper Eriksson gets the Cancer Awareness 333 underway for the second time of asking. And Sweeky, big dive down the inside. They slow up. The 37, big slow up there into turn 1. The 6 is going to take the lead. I wonder what that was for the 37. Just over, slowing down with 3 wide just in behind. Oliver Bohlin is going to get into 3rd.
What was that all about in towards turn 1? I've got no idea, but it nearly caused us second caution immediately. Now, can we all get through cleanly through 3 and 4 for the first time? How loose are these race cars now? Side by side between Sawicki and Eriksson. Look at that, absolutely door to door off of turn 4.
And slightly into the wall on the outside as well. So Eriksson needs to get a bit more comfortable in his car potentially at this point in the race. But they've only had, a lap and a half of green flag racing at full speed. The 37 squeezing down to the inside, trying to slow the 6 down. And once again, going up high towards the wall as the 6 might just have to come in behind him. No, he's going to keep his nose down there, try and dive it up the inside. How high does he want to go? The 37's keeping him tight on the entry of turn 3.
This is great racing between the two of them. A lot of drivers going on the very low line, but now finally Eriksson with that better run. Oh, and trouble in the background. Trouble in the background. And we've got our second caution of the day.
And it was Tuominen there who was having a great opening part of this race, running up there inside that top 10 or so, but he's gone around, and on lap 7, well, the end of lap 6 really, the caution comes out for the second time. And that was a bit weird because it was right on the exit of turn 4. It wasn't sort of in the middle. Let's see how this one worked. He's the orange and silver car on the inside. He's going to come up, and yes, contact is made as he squeezes towards the barrier. That's Eric Lundberg in the 18 machine.
Yeah, that was not particularly smart, I'm afraid, from Tuominen, who just should have given a lot more room on the outside line there. As far as my reckoning goes, that's his first involvement in a caution this season in round number 5, but that was certainly his fault, I'm afraid.
Yes, and it was weird because it was so late. It really was not the exit of turn 4. It was actually on the straight itself. But that just shows you how at that point you're really looking forward and just did not quite leave enough space for the 18 who's come down pit road, unfortunately. So we're back under caution. Drivers, quite a few drivers obviously remaining out there on the track. The top 17 have all not pit. Everyone below that has. And the longer we go under caution, the easier it will be for them to make the stage, which, remember, is on lap 60, and we remain under green flag conditions. So you effectively need to get to lap 61 on fuel if you want to stay out until the stage.
You'd imagine that they can make it now because of the couple of cautions we've had already. I think they'll be able to save the fuel required without having to make a stop. If you're further down the end of the lead lap here, like Nicholas Holmer, Dan Paypals are in again. I mean, it's absolutely worth it. I wouldn't take tyres here because you've barely done any racing. We've had 2 green flag laps. We've not had many, so I would be saying off of the tyres, but definitely take some fuel here. Make absolutely sure you can make it to the stage, because some of these leaders might have to save a little bit, although I do think they'll be fine.
Yeah, they should be good enough, I guess, in that case. But talking of tyres, we are told there's between 2 and 3 seconds drop-off. So obviously if you divide that over the 55 laps, that is actually a pretty ridiculous amount of time being lost. So hopefully, the drivers can try and keep those tyres. But Ewan, if we see another caution in maybe another 10 laps time, I think guys will start to think about pitting for tyres, because at that point you're already going to be a second and a half of the pace.
Maybe, but I do think it's a bit early. I know I'm often quite wary of using tyres early, and you know, I don't think it's ever a good idea. However, maybe they will decide that it is a good idea on this occasion. As I mentioned before, there's 4 tyre sets for this race, so at the very minimum you want to be splitting this into quarters, which will be waiting for at least lap 35. So I would be waiting for that point if I was here. Mainly though, I'd be hoping for a bit of a green flag run. It's all a bit easier when you get a few green flag laps under your belt. We've only had 2 so far.
Yeah, that's true. That's true regarding the tyres. Obviously, that will help them go a lot further as well, because it's not just the sort of wear as such, it's the heat that goes into the tyres. That's the important bit that you have to manage to try and keep them as cool as possible and not overdo them, because with the short straights, especially around a track like this with how tight the corners are in the 1.5 mile, you really don't have enough time for the tyres to cool down on the straight before you get into another corner. So you have to be very careful with how hard you push, as we see the 77 here for Peter Helmbro, MHE Racing. Of course, his teammate is the 12 of Marcus Hogman, who's had a very, very solid start to the season, sitting up there in 3rd place in the championship. And of course, Peter Helmbro, a couple of time pole position driver in this series. He knows what he's doing, had a strong run last time out himself, getting 8th place finish. So MHE Racing certainly having a solid one, despite being surrounded by a lot of Bright Esports and Sim Race Sweden cars, who of course dominate up towards the front of this championship.
I'm going to give you a pointless stat, by the way, for the day. We've now done over 200 kilometres of this season under caution. Entirely pointless. Doesn't mean anything, but it's true.
That's crazy. That's a lot. I wouldn't have said it was that much. That's a lot. And considering they're only doing, what, 80 k's an hour here?
Something like that. It will be, yeah. It does seem like a lot when you put it like that. But then, we've had 5 rounds. 40 kilometres a round doesn't seem like loads, especially when you consider Talladega. It would be about 4 laps for a caution. It's about, what, 4 and a bit kilometres around there. That's 16 just for one caution. So when you divide it out like that, it's not actually that much.
Yeah, true. Talladega certainly added up the minutes and the kilometres behind the pace truck, which will be coming in at the end of this lap. The drivers are stacking up side by side once more, and we'll be getting the 3rd green flag of the day, and hopefully we can get a few more laps into it. But obviously the drivers just struggling to calm down and get themselves into a groove in this race. Certainly going to be a tough one to do so either way, but hopefully we can get a few more green flag laps under our belt, as the 37 and the 6 on the front row. So that is Ericsson on the inside, the 6 of Suzuki on the outside. It's Sim Race Sweden versus Bright Esports, and pretty much inside the top 8, all of their cars being separated there. We go back to green flag racing. The Cancer Awareness 333 is underway once more, and it is the 37 of Jesper Ericsson. Is he going to brake early into turn 1 this time? No, he's found the braking point, but it's actually going to be the 72 of Oliver Bohlin diving up the inside of his teammate.
Yeah, that will be the side-by-side battle off of the corner here, as we go with Malvin Atkinson right up high here. He's alongside Hombom and Aronson, who were looking low there through 1 and 2. And now he'll dive low to just cut them off and keep his 4th position just up ahead. Sawicki and Wallin remain battling side by side off of turn number 4 as we complete the end of a first green flag lap.
We certainly do. Ericsson got 3/10 on that lap with the side-by-side for the Bright Esports cars, but actually it's not too much of a problem, though we're momentarily 3 wide. Augusten high, Holmbohm in the middle, Aronson on the low line. Holmbohm cuts that one off on the exit of turn 2. Very nicely indeed, running a strong race up there so far. P5 for the number 10 machine, and it's all looking fairly single file at the moment on the sort of mid part of the top 10. But actually, Augusten is looking fast. He's already caught up to Oliver Wallin using that high line through 1 and 2. He's pulled away from his teammate. Now might be looking up the inside of the 72.
Side by side a bit further back is for 7th place between Helmbro and Broström. That's Linus Broström, the current points leader as of last week, because Jesper Ericsson has now taken 2 victories. It means that at least 2 drivers will make it to the playoffs on points. At the moment, those 2 drivers would be Linus Broström, who is leading the points, and Magnus Hogman as well, who's scored the most stage points so far this season.
And this is a strong run for the 71. Remember, he started down in 18th position. That's already 11 places, really. 10 places that he's come up. And he's got Helmbro on his inside. He's going to get squeezed off there as Helmbro cuts that one off. And look how close it was. Of course, that went a little bit wrong earlier in the day, which caused the caution for 2 minutes. But the 71, look at the high line that he's using. He's really trying to work it. Can he use it to get some extra momentum? Once again, Helmbro cuts that one off. Can't do it completely, though. And 71's going to have a run into 3.
Yeah, it's seemingly difficult and hard work to get through on the very outside here. He's so much higher than the rest of the top 8 here, who are all pretty much running together. And he's way up high compared to them. He's squeezed. I think he lifted off there because he thought Helmbro might be coming up. And if he didn't lift off, there would be a crash. Eventually, the 77 saw him, but that wasn't before Broström just lifted out the gas a little bit. And he will stay in 8th place now.
It's so funny when you see completely different lines like that, but they always converge at basically the same point, showing you how the speed of the line is not necessarily much different. It's just where you get the momentum onto the straight. As we're seeing, there's Dan Homer on the 79 machine on the inside line. He's got the 12 of Hogman just up ahead of him. Of course, the 79 trying to come back from a end of the line penalty to start this race. He's got a couple of the teammates on his outside. That is the 200 of Pfeffer, now going up the inside of Motin in towards turn number 1. Should have that one sorted if he can come up, but actually the 94 is looking strong, but no, the 79 will get that one done up to 15th.
Yep, posted to Homer, moving on forward up to 15th place. Effectively, we can give him 14 places gained, I think, so far in this race now. Patrick Pfeffer, one of those he's dispatched of in the number 200. Pfeffer, by the way, became 2 weeks ago the highest placed driver in the points to have not scored any stage points yet this season, overtaking Nicholas Helm, who lost 5 places in the race at Talladega. He also, though, still doesn't have any stage points somehow.
We'll have to see how it works, because there's only 10 drivers, of course. 10 points for the win, 1 point for 10th place. So if you are always in that maybe P11, unfortunately you are going to be losing out on those points, which could come in handy for those getting to the playoffs later on this season, as we're seeing completely different lines being used by all 5 of those drivers on the screen. They're all in a different lane coming through 3 and 4, just showing you the differences that you can do around here. And in the front of the shot, there is a Homer working his way forward very nicely, making up some good places.
That certainly is. And you'd expect it from him, to be fair. He's made a pit stop recently, and that's nothing to do with it, though. It's more likely just down to the fact he is one of the quickest drivers in this field, as shown by his pole position taken in qualifying, working his way through on the inside with Hogman following him. And what a great driver to follow for Hogman as well. Daniel Homer, as they make their way over the line to the end of lap 19. Feels like we're finally underway, really. 8 laps complete under green.
Yes, certainly. They're getting into a bit of a rhythm now, and that is what we want. And we do see about a 9-lap difference between some of these drivers. So Helm in the 55, who's now up into 10th place, and a few drivers behind him, such as Homer, Hogman, and also Tuominen in the orange car at the back of the shot. They are all on slightly newer tyres by about 9 laps. And I wonder how, as the stint progresses, if we're going to see that overcoming and being a bit of a factor in some of these battles, as Hogman is looking to the inside there of Homer. And once again, they continue their different lines, and it seems to be working out well for the both.
Yeah, the configuration of Homestead Miami Speedway that we have now means that you can run these 2 different lines. This oval has actually taken on 3 different configurations in its life since it was made in about 30 years ago. Used to be a rectangular oval, which is really weird, and then it used to be a sort of flat track, and then they tripled the banking steepness, and now it looks a bit like this. It's probably best like this, really, and hence why they've kept it since 2003.
Oh, it's a good one. It really is a good one, both on the sim and real life as well. The race is always very entertaining, and the challenge around it I like, just with how tight and steep it is for this length of circuit. So yeah, really good one indeed. Of course, as I was mentioning earlier, it was the the home of the finale last season. A great battle between Eracingligan and Hafledison, but it was the 81 who came out the victor that day, and of course winning his way to the championship. And let's see if Eracingligan can obviously get some revenge. Of course, the 81 though is not on the grid today, but I'm sure Eracingligan will be loving that one. And talking of him, he is still leading the way as we come back to this lead group. All the same drivers, Suiki, Bohlin, Orkerson, Holmbom, Aronson, they're all sort of in the same order, but the battles are going as the 24 looks up the inside.
Aronson getting his nose chopped off there by Holmbom, rather. And he just loses that real low line that he was trying to follow there through turns 3 and 4. Helmbro will close in as a result of that and just get onto the back of them. Linus Broström seems to have taken a bit of a back seat here. Maybe he's saving tyres and saving fuel a little bit as things stand, because we're not even halfway to the stage yet.
And as we know, he loves playing the long game. So was it the previous race at Talladega potentially, where he was almost purposefully sitting off the back. He wasn't trying to get to the front and just making sure he was there at the end of the stint, and then could actually, of course, pick up the playoff points and with a bit of a run. However, he has dropped off by just a little bit more than he probably would have liked off the back of Helmbro there in that 8th position, but it's working out fairly nicely indeed as we continue to see Holmbom. He's trying to follow his teammate on that high line. Now that's his Melbourne Orcas in the 086 machine, and it's working out well to hold off from Aronson, who can't really do too much right now.
Not just for the moment. He's struggling as things stand to make this work. Round the outside he goes again, has a little look, but you're always wary, I think, especially at this circuit. It seems to be more of a factor. You're always wary when you're looking on the outside like that. Am I going to be given room quite? Or is the driver ahead going to just come up into the high side and come up into me? Seems to be a bit of a danger around here as we now see a little bit of variation. Holmbom and Åkesson now go side by side.
They certainly do. Down towards turn number 3. Is the 10 going to try and get past his teammate, or is he just trying to block as such? The 24 getting past. The Aronson is looking quite nice on that high line. Can he get his nose alongside, or is he going to be squeezed out as he gets to the front straight? Unfortunately, he's going to be squeezed, and that opens the door actually now to Peter Helmbro in the 77. That black machine on the inside, trying to get down there. 3 wide coming through turn number 1. Helmbro trying to make a double move. The 10 is trying to cover off on the inside, but that might open the door then for the 24. He can't cover off both at the same time, surely. No, he has done, as he's got back up to the high line. That's great defense from the number 10.
Very close to contact again, though, and it's just a precarious situation. Thinking back to the opening laps of this race and just what carnage we saw, then racing like this is certainly going to make a few people quite nervous. It's going to be a run for Helmbro by the looks of things off the corner this time round, as Aronson stopped in his tracks again by the 10 of Holmbom. Now Aronson looks to the inside, has a look sort of one lane below the 10, it gives him a bit of room. Åkesson's way up high, and again having tasked with the almost impossible task here of holding 2 people off on 2 different lines at the same time.
It's such a cool one how this circuit works, and I love that from the 10 on the previous lap, getting low enough to hold off Helmbro on the inside, but then still, not giving him too much to do on the exit of turn 2, and able to hold both of them, as there was a great opportunity for the 77 here to get a double move, but in the end has to stay in what is currently 7th position for MHE Racing. As we see 3 completely different lines once again, the 10 is looking good. And regarding pace, we are already over a second off the pace, just due to the tyre wears as we get to about halfway through this first stage. So as that continues on, the opportunities will get, even more frequent for the drivers as they'll start sliding around a little bit more. Can't take the speed on the exit of 2 and 4.
There was side by side for the lead not so long ago, by the way. Eracingligan was very much under attack by Dominic Suzuki there, and couldn't quite get through in the number 6, but he's certainly threatening now. Eracingligan, who, by the way, I was thinking before this race, he is really putting himself into the ring for a possible championship this season. Of course, anything can happen during the playoffs, but he has been by far and away the strongest driver so far this season.
And he was, though, last year as well, and then as you say, it fell apart in the playoffs. So that just shows you how the format really opens the door for a driver to come and sneak it at the end. So you really have to work hard, get yourself into the playoffs, get yourself all the points, so you don't have to worry too much about positions in the playoffs either. Get yourself to that final, but then it's all about winning that race in Phoenix this year. That's going to be the tough one to do, and something that Ericsson fell just short of, as the 24's right up to the wall once again, and that's going to bring the 77 into attacking towards turn 3. He's going to push it on that inside line once more, but then has to back out of that one. So they all go to the low line just to mix it up a little bit.
Holmbom just losing the low line a little bit, though. You can see it just sliding upwards, and here goes Ericsson on the inside. No, he has to tuck back in again. Maybe it'd be a dive onto the inside, but it's clear that the 10 couldn't quite hold the line there. Now we'll go sort of through the middle, dips a little bit lower before Ericsson says, I'll go one length lower, and no, can't quite do it. And round the outside now goes Helmbro. He'll be side by side with Ericsson into 3 and 4.
He certainly will, but Helmbro hasn't been able to make any of these moves stick so far. They've dropped Broström behind by a good couple of seconds now, so it's really just this battle for them to focus on. The high line for the 77 as we come off turn 4. The end of lap 32. Is this going to be an overtaking opportunity? No, it's not. He doesn't seem to quite have enough to overtake any of these cars up ahead. Having said that, they have stayed in the same order for a while, so it seems at this point getting that overtake stuck is very difficult.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we've seen that so far in this race. But what we've also seen, I think, is a top 8 that are by far and away better than the rest as things stand. I mean, of course, that opening lap incident will for sure have disrupted some of that among the drivers who are out. If it's Edwin Bohlin and Daniel Blomqvist, both of those drivers out of the race already after only 4 laps. So, so they may have been here otherwise, but in any case, these 8 do seem stronger than the rest as things stand, and they are running away. You can see the gap between Broström and Schott is about 4 seconds, and in the background of these shots, there's a lot of space indeed for the top 8.
Oh, there's someone running up really high in the background. I think there's the battle between Schott and Helm. They're really having their tough battles to keep inside the top 10. Remember, stage points for the top 10. So it'll be 1 and 2 points for Schott and Helm as it stands, but still 25 laps to go for that one. But remember as well, we stay under green flag conditions, so the drivers need to work out what they're going to do with the fuel numbers and the tyres. I guess should a caution come out fairly soon, we might see everyone dive down pit road, but we're seeing another opportunity for the 24. It's being pushed along by the 77, trying to slingshot up the inside of turn 3. The 10's going to come down though and cover that one off.
Yeah, and we've seen that time and time again here now in this battle. I'm not sure the last time we actually saw these guys exchange places. We've seen them side by side relatively regularly in the 36 laps so far, or more accurately in the 24 laps or so since we came back green again, but not too much positional change. Maybe that's a bit different back here.
Yes, it's been all over the place for some of these drivers in terms of where they've been, but we're starting to see things change a little bit. So Homer's got himself through some of these cars. He's now up into P9. They do have a lapped car directly ahead of them. The 101's following him through as well, and there's a 94 of Motin up the inside of Helm in the 55 machine. So there's a nice battle forming at the back end of the top 10, trying to sneak in those final couple of playoff points, and it's certainly been quite an interesting line there from the 94 as he stays very low down the front straight.
Yeah, and the driver in front, by the way, I think is Dan Pepels, who is the first driver 1 lap down, although we do have many drivers laps down running in this race at the moment because of the opening laps, and many cars damaged as well who are trying to stay out the way, as you can see on the right hand side there. So that's slightly interrupting these battles as well. That's the 34 flies into the corner. Hackenschott very high up towards the wall in 10th place, and Nicholas Helm trying to take that position off him to maybe score his first stage points of the season.
Yes, certainly. That would be a great showing, but what a scrap this is for those final playoff points, as we've seen Helmbro get past Holmbom for P6 as well. So he's finally been able to get that overtake. The 10 has been defending very well indeed, but he's now had to drop down into P7. So It's certainly possible to get those overtakes done, but it is very risky at this track as we come to the number 10, who is obviously now looking at the back of the MH Racing car in towards turns 1 and 2, and he definitely is behind. He's not side by side. He needs to try and find his way back through.
That certainly does. You can see up ahead there, Åkesson and Aronson almost side by side as they get through on a lap driver. Oliver Wallin's got out of this group, by the way, and he's now with Dominic Sawicki up ahead. And look at the traffic that they are getting involved with. The 41 going low. Holbom just about getting round the outside there, but that could have been a whole lot worse in towards... that was Bjorn Brostum on the low side, now 2 laps down.
Yeah, he just came up about half a car width, and that was enough to, I'm sure, get the heart racing in the number 10 machine. But we go on very nicely indeed, and everyone's going around turn 2 now, and that is a 24 of Aronson. He might have this position done on Melvin Åkesson. He's been trying to work his way forward. I think he might have finally done that. He held off from the 10, and he's now made a couple of positions, and he's up into P5. As you say, they've dropped, or they've lost Bohlin up ahead, so that's the important one for their next phase of the race. They need to try and chase down that 1 second gap.
That's the concentrated face of Åkesson there, who's recently lost his position to Aronson. How can they go about maybe even reducing the gap to the lead at the moment? Not sure really, without shredding apart your tyres. Of course, that is a big factor today, as you mentioned earlier on. 3 seconds we were told at the moment. Åkesson, to give you an idea, was 1.6 seconds slower than his best lap on that last lap.
Yeah, Tyre West certainly coming into it. Who has held on to their tyres though, and may have an extra couple of tenths in hand just from that situation, as we're seeing Helm there holding on to that 1 playoff point. Still 18 laps to go though. Shot in the 101 machine, unfortunately just losing out of that position so far. They've got Stiller just in behind, who started from the very back of the grid and might actually be able to have a shout at least to that final playoff point. He's up 17 positions in the 0-13.
I just want to correct you on something, by the way, Cam. I don't think it's a playoff point. I don't think it carries forward towards the playoffs, but it is a stage point, which does count towards their overall total. It's a slight difference, but slight confusing. But anyway, I think you only get a playoff point if you win the stage. So that's what you carry forward into the playoffs if you make it. So I think that's a slight difference in there. But anyway, it's the point stands. It's still a point for your total as you're trying to get as many as possible. Who's that in the 111 trying to make use of some new tyres? Anton Breckberg, by the looks of things, 6 laps down.
Yeah, there's no way near these positions in reality, and he's going to need some lucky dogs to get back through it, some cautions later on, but he's certainly fast. Look at what the newer tyres are doing there. He's basically just driving around them in the middle of a corner. That is how much extra grip you have, and for when we get a bit later in the race, if we get some cautions at some timely occasions, we might see some big calls for when the new tyres come out. We go side by side up ahead though. We've got Åkesson and Aronson batting for P5 and 6. Can the 77 finally get through? He's up the inside of turn 3, but once again the high line is looking good for the 86 to try and defend. He's got his nose alongside, and there won't quite be enough in the 77 to cut him off.
Yeah, Åkesson has been falling a little bit here in these last couple of laps, I'm afraid, as we get through the first 3/4 of this first part of the race. We are homing in now on those stage points being awarded, but Åkesson, I'm afraid, is seeing that total that he's going to gain go down and down, now to just 5 points if he were to finish in this position of 6th. Although he's lucky he's only got Holmborn behind, and Brostum is quite a lot further behind. It's just concerned really about what Åkesson's done to his tyres in the opening part of the race, and why he's in free fall now. Is he saving them at this stage, or has he chewed them up earlier?
Yeah, they're definitely wiggling around at the exit of turn 4 there quite a lot, so they need to be watching out for that one. I was also noticing up towards the front, Ericsson now has an 8/10 gap to Sawicki's. I wonder if Sawicki's just starting to struggle a little bit as well. So you see the two Morby Brighty Sports teammates, the 72 of Bohlin, the 24 of Aronson. They are now battling for that 3rd place as Aronson has pulled away from the cars behind. So Aronson's coming in strong actually at this point of the stint, and maybe able to get his 2 teammates to get up into 2nd at the end of the stage.
Yeah, this is really changing this race here. Eracingligan has, of course, won a stage before in this series. I believe it was at Auto Club in the first round of the season when he completely dominated, of course. But he's getting stronger as this stint goes on here. Has he just been waiting for this moment? A little bit later on in the race, he gets now to the inside of Bohlin, who's been on the back of Sawicki for a while. Eracingligan now will be the driver to attack number 6 as he moves up into 3rd place.
Coming in very strong is Alex, and just 13 laps to go now, and I wonder if Ericsson is reading this from behind. We are close to 2 seconds. I mean, it's 1.7, 1.8 seconds laps slower we are at this point already, so the tyres really dropping off and going away from the drivers. So those who have kept it in will be just gaining lap time. As we saw with Bratberg, that was a bit more extreme. But if you think about it, maybe not quite extreme, but just a half a tenth here, half a tenth there, that will certainly add up over the course of those 13 laps. And now he's got Sawicki right in front of him. He's closing in, and I'm sure he'll go past fairly shortly.
You'd think so, but we've seen some moves take quite a long time so far in this race. So, yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion by any means. As we go in towards turn number 1, a look to the inside now. Is he going to be given the room on this low line? Sawicki there, I think, has just given him it because he thought Eracingligan might have been there already. If he's got a real life spotter, then they would have told them that. I'm not sure what the iRacing spotter would have said at that point. But anyway, Eracingligan's certainly alongside now and should be on his way. Will he be in the lead shortly as well as he dives probably a bit too deep into 3 and 4?
Yeah, took way too much speed, didn't have the tyres to keep it down, but he's made the move stick just about as we come onto the front straight. I assume Sawicki's not going to necessarily dive up the inside of turn 1, and he doesn't. He lets the 24 go on the outside, so this is good positions made from Eracingligan. Remember, he was down about 7th position just 5-10 laps ago. Now as he get to lap 50, he's chasing down Eracingligan. 1 second is the gap for the 37, 2-time winner out of the 4 races this season so far. For the 24, couple of stage victories, of course, pipping him by a splitter in the previous race at Talladega, and will be trying to do that once again to take his 3rd stage of the season. Yeah,
we'll see if we can get a late change here as we go back to the battle for the last stage point here between Schott, Helm and Stiller as well in the 013. Marcus Stiller has made his way from 29th on the grid, very last position on the grid, to maybe looking at stage points here. One of the drives of the race so far, I would say, for the 013s. He has a look at Helm here. Can he make his way up to 11th? He's got a very good run here out of turn number 2, although Helm just in the way there, preventing him from taking the real big exit off of the corner.
Yeah, and this is good for the Clutch Club Racing driver, who is currently sitting in 12th place in the standings. So I guess his position on the track is actually, coinciding with the standings. So that's probably where he should be. But can he nick a 10th position and try to obviously get that stage point? Is just 10 meters ahead of him, but he's got a lot of work to try and cover those 10 meters before the end of the stage. He's up the inside though of the 55. As he works his way down the back straight. Has he got anything to dive in up the inside of turn 3? He's thinking about it, and he's going to try and make the 55 cover him off, but Helm is looking good so far.
Yeah, it's difficult to get through by the looks of things for Stiller at the moment. If you're too similar on speed to the driver ahead of you, you are going to find it very, very tricky indeed as he dives again. Helm goes deep though, very deep. Oh, careful. He just had to really get out the gas there because he would have been in the wall, and that mistake gives Stiller 11th.
And you see it's just the finest of margins. All it was about half a car length, but he's going to send it back down the inside of turn 3. Is he going to go too deep like he did into turn 1? No, he actually keeps it down fairly nicely. Stiller is going to have to work for this on the exit. They get close to the corners of each car, but Stiller is going to hold on to that one. Nice racing between those two. We've had a couple of pit stoppers for Stefan Wang and Timo Wildeber. So they come in on lap 53, it was for them. So they're a bit short in terms of fuel for the stage, which is quite interesting, considering there's not too long left and we've had a couple of cautions.
Yeah, that is 4 drivers into the pit lane under green since the most recent restart. The only drivers to have taken normal length pit stops, though, were Magnus Hagman and Stefan Wang as well. So they clearly thinking maybe they could have made it, but it's not worth it. If you're not in the top 10, I think it's worth coming in about now, getting an undercut so you can get a bit closer to the top 10 and maybe benefit in terms of a race result, because you know that there really is no point waiting for lap 60 if you're not going to get any points for it.
Absolutely. If you assume everyone's going to come in on lap 61 after the stage, then he's going to get 8 laps of undercut. You times that by even, let's say, 1 second a lap faster tyres. It's already 8 seconds. You make that 1.5. That's 12 seconds that he could make up. That is quite a lot of time. And we did see, who was it? It was Linus Broström, wasn't it? He lost out quite a bit with that staying out too long at one of the previous races. I think it's potentially the one at Kansas, where it just didn't go his way. He was waiting long for a caution, but it never came. And yeah, sometimes the undercuts, getting those fresh tyres is going to work as well. Onto lap 56 stage, coming up at lap 60.
Yeah, so what, 4 laps away now as we get over the line again here. Ericsson on his way, but being challenged by really being challenged actually. Both of these two have won stages in the past. Only one of these two has won stages in the past with Ericsson. Ericsson has won 2 races, but he hasn't won a stage yet. So in terms of playoff points heading in towards the round of 15, Ericsson would be 4 behind Ericsson. Going into the next, but as you can tell, there's so many points available per round that's basically nothing. Just gives you a slight nose ahead if you've won races and stages going into the round of 15.
But you never know how close it's going to get. These two might be some of the championship contenders when we get there. Of course, we've still got, including this one, 10 races to go just of the regular season before we get to the round of 15. But Ericsson is coming in very strong. They've dropped Savicki by 1.5 seconds in that number 6 red machine. And now with just 3 and a bit miles to go of this stage, is Ericsson going to be able to find a way through?
Well, he's looking. This is going to be very interesting indeed in these final 2 laps, and I think this is going to be a first real show for us as how seriously they're taking a stage win, because previously it's not really been that close. I think at Auto Club Ericsson was quite a long way out in front as he was dominating. Bristol was so fraught by cautions it felt quite messy the whole way through. Kansas very much settled in for I think a Magnus Hagman win on that occasion. Talladega of course was always going to be close because it's Talladega and pretty much every run over the line is close, but here at Homestead Miami Speedway they are going for it. It's going to be a free wide motor with Patrick Pfeffer going up high, trying to avoid these two, battling for a stage win here.
Oh, they've also got another car right ahead of them. This is very difficult to have a battle going through the lap traffic. Of course, they're entitled to be there on that outside, but actually that worked out not too badly. I think it was a slight closed door though for the 24 as we're now on to the final, of course, lap of the stage. At the line as there's contact in behind, are we going to go caution to the stage? No, they keep it in line. That was a 14 of Kinnell making contact with his teammate Pfeffer, but as he comes through turns 3 and 4, is Ericsson going to get a run? Is there going to be a slide for the 37? No, there's not. So as he come across the line, it's going to be the 37 of Jesper Ericsson getting the stage win and dominating here Homestead Miami. But we continue green flag racing, and surely pit stops will be just around the corner.
Yeah, I think there'll be around 2 more corners actually. then they'll be into pit lane. Very close to contact earlier on than this. This was the moment between the teammates. Goodness me, that's not something you want to be doing, is it? Between Kinnell and Pfeffer. I think Ericsson will feel a little bit aggrieved though about this through 3 and 4, the lap beforehand, because he, I think, was coming to overtake. Ericsson was just stopped in his track by the lap traffic as oh my goodness, that's quite a save from Ericsson. And if he's got it slowed down, then I take my hat off to him because he came in very hot there.
And everyone is coming in except Broström and Ericsson. They've stayed out. Interesting. There's going to be, 7 cars here undercutting them. Will it just be 1 lap? Will it be a couple of laps that they stay out? But yes, the 37, as you're right, he almost sped in the box there, coming into the box. And that is going to be crucial if he does get a penalty. We'll have to see what his total pit stop time is and who's going to come out on top. But that just shows you how much he's pushing it. Ericsson does return the favour and come in straight away. It looks like 37 has got out fairly nicely, so just about got it slowed down.
Just about, yeah, but very close. There is there's Ericsson coming down pit lane just afterwards. The 013 getting out right up ahead. So Eracingligan in. Broström carries on again. It's a classic Linus Broström strategy, isn't it? Stay out for as long as possible. I'm not entirely sure how he's still going now, but anyway, he is. And he's one of only four drivers to have not pitted at all yet, along with Hackenschott and Pfeffer and Canal, the teammates who just made contact.
Yeah, just showing you how everyone is pushing when you get teammates making contact, and they were about a lap down, or just going a lap down in that race as well. So the 24 comes out. Linus Broström now is in pit lane. There's the 37 going past the 6 as well. So definitely a little bit of time loss, as you would expect. A lap on the older tyres compared to a lap on the newer tyres. But how far behind is it going to be? Now, he hasn't lost the place to Oliver Bohlin, so just one position lost. So Eracingligan with that extra lap did lose a position, but I don't think that's really going to hinder him too much. And I guess he wanted to just do something slightly different to be offset in some way.
Yeah, I'm starting to try and have a look here as to see if anybody's really gained or lost. I think that's the main notable one. Back behind Sawicki. Dan Holmer's quite a lot closer than he... well, he's not a lot closer, actually. He's a bit closer. Marcus Hagman... So he pitted 14 laps or so before, well, he's been out for 14 laps now, so he pitted 10 laps before the caution, or before the stage, I should say. So he is now up to 9th place. And Nicholas Helm have come in. Helm, though, came in under one of the cautions. I think it was mostly for damage repair, because he was 32 seconds in the box, but obviously would have taken fuel as well, so he's still going, and probably will be able to for another couple of laps.
Yeah, that's a decent amount of time lost. You know, that's, what's that, 18 seconds basically extra that he's lost there. Is there some smoke there on the front straight? Hopefully no one's gone around. Might just been a brush up against the wall from the drivers we continue on. But yeah, certainly longer stop for Helm there. Obviously had the previous one, but that was under caution. And as we continue our way forward, he's therefore obviously going longer with more fuel in the car. But with the big undercut, he is going to be miles and miles behind.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about on the front straight, by the way. But anyway, yeah, this is an interesting strategy from Helm. I think it's probably a good idea, though, just to do something a little bit different. Knows that maybe he doesn't have the speed of those around him, or those at the front, and so carries on. This is Michael Hagström. Not the first time he's been sliding. That time, though, he saved it, unlike on lap 1.
And that was good that he didn't go around, because that would have completely, you know, changed the course of the race. But staying green, of course, everyone is now just going to go into this mid part of the race and try and settle in to a bit of a rhythm, as we are actually, yeah, very close to halfway in this race already as the sun is setting here. Homestead, Miami, we've got a battle for his effective race lead of the 37 and the 6. And Sawicki's looking much stronger now. He's got these fresh tyres on.
He certainly is. And we saw this early on in the race. Just wonder whether he's not learning his lesson here from the opening part of the race and thinking, I can go for the lead here, I can overtake Jesper Eriksson. Well, that's all well and good, but if you're passed again 10 laps later, it all of a sudden doesn't look too smart. So do fear a little bit that he's making the same error that he did in the first run, where he was clearly wanting for some tyre life towards the end of those 60 laps.
Indeed. So is he pushing too hard, though, at this point? Is that going to hinder him later on? I guess he just wants to get ahead of Eriksson and try and control the pace a little bit more at the front. But they are pulling away a decent amount. Eriksson in the background hasn't been able to keep up with them. He wasn't too far behind Sawicki initially at the pit stop, on the exit of the pit stop, but has dropped back a decent amount with Bohlin, Helmbro, Holmbaum as well. It's really these top two that have started to push, and I just hope they're not pushing too much. If we go green for the whole middle part of this stint, that could be quite crucial for when we get to the final pit stops.
Well, I mean, this is a very interesting run now here for this race, because as I mentioned earlier on, at intermediate tracks we've seen some very similar races to this one. At Auto Club Speedway we were going green for just 3 laps at the beginning before we saw our only caution. At Kansas we were going for less than 10, and then our second run was just about 14 laps. That was a bit longer than our second run here, but that was the last caution, with still a very long way to go at Kansas. So it's over 100 laps indeed. So I just wonder whether we're going to get that again here, as we see the battle for the lead really ramping up again. Eriksson round the outside of Sawicki, who got a little bit loose there on the low line again.
Yeah, he did. I think it's about 2 laps ago, coming through 3 and 4, also had a little bit of a wiggle, and that was without being side by side. So that time he was trying to push and make it work, and that's why I just hope he's not over pushing the car at this stage. He's got a good run here off turn 2, though. They got the 55 of Helm. So when we first saw Helm a few laps ago, he was 10 seconds behind, and now he is going to be right there as we come through turns 3 and 4. The 37 just gets in front. And no, he's got, oh, this is a bit awkward. 2 by 2, 3 by 3 they go. There's a slide through the 37 as he tries to keep the power down. There's 55 always slides between them as the pair continues side by side. They've literally driven through the 55, almost as if he was standing still. That's how much slower he is on those older tyres. But the 6, he's made it stick and he's got to the race lead.
It was a pass for the lead, would you believe it? A remarkable bit of driving between the 3 of them. Sawicky so slow off the final corner because he was so low on the inside line. Ericsson too high up, he got loose. Helmer's got no tyres anymore, so he was loose as well. It was quite a remarkable moment, but it looks like Ericsson wants to win that race lead back almost as soon as he's lost it here. As he has a look on the way towards turn number 1, he will try and make his way through on Sawicky. He's certainly looking like he wants to. Anyway, now searching really high for some speed here.
And this is the first point of the race where Ericsson is not in the lead and he's got to do some battling from behind. So that, of course, just changes the mindset a little bit. It's not like he doesn't know what he's doing, but you definitely get into a bit of a rhythm with having a fresh air out in front of you. And now he's got to look at the back of that bright esports car as we work our way onto the front straight. Lap 74 we're coming on to of 1:38. So we are, of course, at the halfway point and looking very nice. Sorry, over the halfway point, I should say, and looking very nice indeed so far for the 6. He's showing some good speed as he has all season, but can he convert it in this stint?
Absolutely, that's the key now. And I think the other key actually here is this stint even look like? How long is it going to be? Because at the time of the pit stops, we would have had oh goodness, that's difficult maths, isn't it? 78 odd, 76 maybe laps to go. So splitting that in half, that's 39. That would get us to about lap 100. But are they going to go all that way here? Are they going to decide to pit earlier? Are they going to go longer, hoping for a caution? It's very interesting indeed to see what these guys try and decide to do here, because the tyre wear is severe, but also the time lost in a pit stop is severe as well.
I guess if it was me, I would probably try and split this final 70 odd laps, 2/3 and 1/3. I wouldn't necessarily go 50-50. I'd try and go a little bit longer to have some fresher tyres at the end, but then it all depends if and when a caution comes out. It's so difficult to choose. I think if you pit really early, try and get the undercut, then so it can work if it stays green. Then if it doesn't, it might help the drivers who stay out. So it's a very difficult one indeed, because you might end up then just making another pit stop for another set of fresh tyres when they do. So it's a tough one to call, and I'm not going to be one of the engineers or the strategists for these drivers trying to work out when the best time to come in is. But of course, that's down to them. And Sawicky is looking fast at the front here. He can definitely hold off Ericsson, as he looks like he's got some speed in that 6 machine tonight.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, just to go back to that, I think it's not a bad idea keeping tyres fresher for the end. However, if you get undercut, then that can be quite can get you quite a long way off the back and get you a long way off the lead. You might never catch back up again. But also, track position has proven to be relatively important round here for an oval for 1.5 miles. Track position has been quite important, actually. It's not quite to the level of Bristol, for example, or what we're going to see later on at New Hampshire or something like that, but it is going to be pretty important to have that track position. Overtakes haven't been easy to come by, so I wouldn't bet against someone going for a bit of an undercut to try and get that bit of track position, or at least just playing it safe and splitting it in half here. Of course, a caution can throw all this out the window, but I think this is a difficult call for everybody to make here, and we are waiting to see what they decide to do. But I wouldn't count against track position in these final 40 laps either.
And it's just impossible to predict. We saw the massive save from Hagström coming down the front straight. So, if one of those isn't saved by a driver, then caution can come out very easily. We have seen enough issues and enough wiggles for drivers, for lack of a better term, for there to be potential for one of the pace cars to come out, but we will just have to see, as there's Bratberg on the high line. He's got the two leaders chasing down the inside of him. That's going to get a bit close on the exit of 4. Hopefully there's a nice clean move here in towards turn number 1, but Bratberg of course was on the fresher tyres at one point, getting past people, but now that is swapped around as the the advantage goes in the favour now of these guys, as they have 1 second to Eracingligan behind. So he hasn't been dropped completely, and he was actually 0.3 faster on the previous lap.
Yeah, he was. So he is coming again now. There he is in the white. You can just see in the background as we look back from Dominik Sawicki here. Eracingligan is on his way, and I just wonder how much he's taking out of his tyres doing this. I think we are going to see a more aggressive stint, though. I mean, it's saying that already be halfway through the stint, but I think this can be more aggressive. The drivers in the first part of that race will have known, I have to make it 60 laps right now, because otherwise the stage points are going to go through my fingers. Now, though, you know that 2 40-lap stints will do you to the end, so you can push about, what, if you were to put it into pure logical maths, you can push about 30% harder. It doesn't quite work out like that, but you get the point. You can go a bit quicker.
Absolutely, that's a good point to make. That's probably why Sawicki's pushing so much more, because he probably knows that in worst case situation it's just 40-40 that he needs to do to the end of this race, although it doesn't quite take as much speed there coming through turns 1 and 2 that time around. So Eracingligan just gains the tiniest bit, but Eracingligan is definitely on the back of them now. So he's the faster driver, and he has been really, even since the last 10-15 laps of the previous stint, he's coming in strong. And of course he does have a lap fresher tyres for what that's worth.
Yeah, I think this is a very small difference, but it might be worth some thing at the end of the day. Personally, I think that Sawicki is doing basically what he did in the first stint, but it might work out a bit better this time round because there's less laps in this stint, very possibly. So I don't know if the strategy he's employing is that different, really. As further behind, Helmbro and Holmbom are exchanging places. That's Helmbro moving up to 5th place. So a few gains from since the first run of this race.
And absolutely. And what I'm seeing actually, though, behind is Linus Broström has been dropped by 6 seconds, and Dan Holmer, who started obviously on pole position, dropped to the back of the line before the green flag and is now right behind him. So Broström definitely doesn't have the speed here today. So 37 goes high to try and get past Sawicki, but this is also slightly in defense from the 24, who's very much in this race lead fight now. It's a 3-way fight as we come down this back straight. What a shot that is coming in towards turn 3 as the 3 of them just close up on each other, and the 24's looking strong, diving into turn 3 here, trying to make something work.
Now looking for the same line there, really. That's never going to work. Now does Eracingligan have to give some space to Eracingligan on the outside line? It looks like he might well do. Oh, and there's in the wall. There's contact. Was it car contact, or did Eracingligan sort of scare himself into the wall? I'm not sure. But there was certainly a brush with the wall down there as Eracingligan holds firm on the low side, and he does hold 2nd place. But I don't know what was going on there on the front straight.
I think they're just moving and wiggling around, trying to almost block each other off a little bit, as we see the 37 really on the limit there, coming in towards turn 3. The car bobbling around as he tries to find space. Sawicki, he's got a teammate now in behind him. They can try and do a 2 versus 1. A lot easier said than done, though. Obviously, the regular season champion from last year was the 37, and he knows what he's doing. 3 lines being used as we work our way through the banks once more out onto the straight. And Sawicki has been leading for a while now, and I wonder if that is going to turn around, because I think the 37 is going to be a bit more aggressive now the 24's there.
Yeah, certainly. As we see Eracingligan go on the high side again. Eracingligan looking lower. Eracingligan, by the way, as a result, and he's going to get through now into 2nd place. Eracingligan going really high there. Eracingligan should be through here. That's a mistake from Eracingligan, a rare mistake. And there goes Alexander Eracingligan up into 2nd place. Now, what can he do about Dominik Sawicki?
I think he's going to be able to get the lead. In my opinion, he's been the fastest driver over the last 40 laps or so in this race, and he seems like he's having his charge to the front. Remember, he was in that battle with Holmbom, who's now 6 seconds behind this. So Eracingligan really does have some extra speed at this moment in time. We've got the 14 of Knell up to the right-hand side. Remember the last time the leaders came past him, there was almost a big crash in the caution. We go on to lap 88 of the race, and this is a crucial factor because that is 50 to go. and of course the teams will start to think they can get to the end here on fuel. So anything that happens, they will be coming down pit road and trying to get to the end of this race.
Yeah, if the next caution that happens is the last one and there's a long green flag run, then it'll be the last stop as well, I would have thought. So that's worth factoring in too. Look at Ericsson there, so strong on the way in. His car's so strong on the way into turn 3 there. He can hold a tighter line as well on the way out, but he probably needs to, just to give a bit of room to Canal on the outside. Ericsson noticeably losing touch here as Ericsson looks for the lead on the inside.
He certainly does. Can he make it stick? Because the 6 has gone very high indeed. I would assume that was actually effectively to let him past, and the 24 is going to assume the race lead here on lap 89. It's taken him a while to get there. One by one, he's worked his way up to the front, and now the 24 is in the lead. And Ericsson in that 37 machine now down to 3rd place. He's dropped off by a car length or so as well. And he's not really worried because Savicki hasn't had the results he would have wanted in terms of the championship. He's down in 10th position. So Ericsson really needs to just worry about the 24 there with how strong that car has been. But unfortunately, there's a car in between them.
That's the beauty of these playoffs, isn't it? One win and you're in to the playoffs. So Dominic Sawicki, despite the fact he's way down at the moment, could get himself in there. At the moment, he is 10th in the point standings as well, so not doing too badly, but certainly not as well as Ayrton and Ericsson are doing, especially on this kind of circuit, are showing themselves to be possibly the 2 strongest drivers. But Ayrton now beginning to run away a little bit. 90 laps completed. We might only be 10 laps away from another stop. It is well within range here for them to be chewing up their tyres in the way that they are right now.
Indeed, and I do think that lap pressure might just help him enough, just that little, maybe half a tenth here and there that he needs just to pull away, and he's certainly doing that by half a second now. He has got the race lead, and if he can pull this up to 1-2 seconds, that is going to be very strong indeed, because he can cover off from an undercut as well, so he can be a bit reactive. So this is really working out nicely for the 24, who is potentially the fastest car. Is in the back on a car in a huge slide coming off the final corner. It might have been Oliver Bohlin actually in that 4th position. Looked like a bright esports car, but he kept it going in that 72 machine.
Yeah, it certainly did. And he's been lurking for a little while, that's for sure. He's running well inside the top 5. The spread of field today, by the way, is absolutely astronomical. I mean, we have had some races this season where we've had very low numbers finishing on the lead lap. Today's going to be another one of those days, I think, because we have seen some very big margins. Of course, a big crash at the start, and look at that, back to 10th place, nearly half a minute, not even 2/3 of the way through here, or about 2/3 of the way through, just more.
Yeah, I guess tracks with higher tyre wear definitely open up the gaps a lot more, because just, you know, a couple of percent difference in tyre wear makes a huge chunk of lap time. As Helm is going through the leaders here. He's got Ericsson, and now he's going past Savicki for that 2nd place. And Helm, who of course was actually leading this race for a moment just on strategy, is now working his way towards the 24, who, by the way, is absolutely romping off into the distance. He's the fastest car absolutely on the track, or at least in terms of the top few. Fastest by 0.3 of a second out of everyone inside the top 7 of this race. The fastest guy around him is Homer, down in 8th place, who of course is working his way up from the back of the field and doing very nicely indeed. But it's weird how you ebb and flow in terms of your speed on the racetrack just with the strategies around here.
And look at the amount of different speeds we've got. We've got Helm going quicker than everybody. So Wiki very easily going through here with the leaders on, whoever that is on the very low side there, getting lapped all over again. We've got other lap drivers in front as well. It is still really quite busy out there on the circuit right now. I think, you know, mid-20s still in this race. In fact, 27 by my reckoning still in this race. And we've got a very, very busy racetrack as a result, but a long green flag run now means that they're all very spread apart. This is the 83rd or 84th lap, I should say, under green now since our restart.
Yeah, it's a bit messy when everyone just finds themselves on the track. You know, it's 1.5 miles, but you put 20 odd cars there and divide it. There's not many meters between each car. As we're seeing Helmbro here, he's got past Bohlin for 4th place, he wasn't looking overly hot in that middle stint. There's all a big slide there for the 72. Yes, the 72, we saw him having a moment on another one just in front of him. The rear tyres are going, and I think, Ewan, we will be seeing some pit stops in the next 10 laps or so. I don't think they're going to be going as long as they did in that first stint.
Absolutely not. I think these guys are partly going to be just using these tyres until they're pretty much done now, and then they'll make their pit stop here. We're a little bit more than a second and a half off of best lap times for the leaders as things stand. So Wiki is starting to really lose speed here compared to the others and compared to his fast lap, although Ericsson's around the same place as he is as things stand. So they are all going to be thinking about pitting in very soon, but there's so much traffic around as well. You don't want to be rear-ended by someone as you're coming in.
Certainly do not. It's a tricky and very awkward pit entry here as well, as we work our way towards lap 100, which is basically the halfway point of this middle stint, where they would potentially think about pitting with that 38 lap stint to the end, and that is going to be coming up. So if you want the undercut, maybe you'll be coming in very shortly indeed. As we're still seeing Ericsson lead, but it's now by 1.5 seconds. This battle between the 6 and the 37 in behind is getting tight. They've got a lot of traffic to get through. The 24's got through all of them already, while they still have their battle into turn 3.
As we complete lap number 98, by the way. This is the third time we've had more than 200 kilometres under green in one go. You can see the effect it's having. Another huge pit entry from Jesper Eriksson. This is a huge pit stop, and again, he's absolutely nailed that.
Oh, he certainly has. We'll have to see, is this the right time to come in? We don't know, because it depends on the cautions potentially at the end of the race. We're also seeing a couple of other drivers come in. It's Homebomb, the number 10, his sister teammate. Huge slide there on the exit. Is that Oliver Bohlin? I think it might still be. He needs to come in and get some pit stops, or it might be one of the lap cars actually a little bit further behind. Really, few cars struggling down there. This is a tough point to call when you want to come down pit road. But let's see how this is going to work out, because surely more pit stops. Yes, there's loads of them. We've got Savicki, we've got Aronson, we've got Wang, Pfeffer, Nordgren, all coming down pit road. Of course, for Aronson, Savicki, they're trying to cover off from the undercuts. And is it going to work?
This is a huge moment here. Ericsson has got a big chance to get back in the lead, and I think for the health of his race, he needs to get at least onto the back of Ericsson, if not ahead of him here, out of the pit lane. He's already made course for Ericsson. He's got further down the field as a result. It was 13.9 in the box. It didn't stop from him. Aronson 14.5. There he goes. He leaves the pit lane now. Where is Ericsson? I've got no idea at the moment. He'll be making his way around the banking, of course, on turn 1 and 2 at the moment. Is he anywhere near Aronson? It doesn't look like it. There he goes. He now pops onto our tower in 10th place, and he is still behind Aronson. He's a bit closer though.
Yeah, that was a big pit stop from the 24, but of course he had that a little bit of a gap, so he was able to get through. Actually, no, coming in towards turn number 3 and 4, it looks like it is going to be an important battle between them. Ericsson has got through on Aronson, so just that one lap extra on the hot tyres, and he's been able to get through. So Aronson, even with that 2-second gap to Ericsson, got undercut, just showing you how important fresh tyres are in this championship. But once again, Aronson is going to have the fresh tyres in the final stint, or potentially the final stint of the race. Bohlin finally comes in from 3rd place as well, so a very important time for him, because he was really struggling on tyres. But I think in hindsight, maybe the undercut was the way to go.
Yeah, I think so. It's track position. As I mentioned earlier on, you want to hold track position. You want to keep it if you possibly can. And I think that was the right call from Ericsson. But it just shows you the tyre drop-off, doesn't it? Just one lap under green, out before the others, and Ericsson has gone from nearly 2 seconds behind Aronson, certainly over 1 second behind him, to now just ahead of him, because he was up to speed and was able to make the overtake for 6th place as it is right now. So very interesting indeed, and very telling of the life of these tyres. Here is the leading battle. It is Ericsson versus Aronson, and the 24 goes for the lead.
He certainly does, in towards the first corner, goes up the inside. Can he make a race? Caution comes out indeed. So that is going to change things for how he would look to get to the end of the race. Still a few drivers who need to make a stop, but very interesting that we just had a round of green flag stops. We need to see how this one goes out. So as we work that out, we will go and see some messages from our partners. Now we return to Homestead, Miami, where we are under caution with just over 30 laps to go. And what an important time for the caution as well. Leaders pit about 5 laps previous to that, and now that leaves a whole host of cars in behind on fresher tyres. Your top 5 have stayed out. Linus Brustrom in 6th place, or Homer behind him. They are on fresher tyres now to the end of this race. If we stay green, we had such a long green flag run there, 90 laps basically, and now we are back under caution. And you and O'Leary, we have a sprint to the end. I can't wait to see how this one works out. Or are we going to get more cautions?
Well, exactly. That's the talking point here, I suppose. The top 5 have all stayed out, and they're on tyres. The rest of the lead lap are all on tyres they've just put on. The rest of the lead lap being all the way down to 13th place, and Dan Pepples, who's just gotten the free pass back around again. So we have got a very interesting situation here. I think these guys who pitted under green are going to be under a bit more trouble than they're expecting here.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very tough situation, I think, because the likes of Brustrom and Holmer, even Melvin Augustin as well, they've been looking fairly fast in this race so far. Maybe Brustrom was saving a bit in that middle part of the race. Have to see if he can find that speed, but now they have a mixture between 4 to 6 laps fresher tyres than those ahead, and in that middle stint of the race we saw how even just 1 lap fresher tyres was good for Eracingligan. It's going to be a 30-lap dash to the end of this race. We had a few cautions at the start, then a long green flag run, and now are we going to get one final green flag to the end? It's Ericsson leading, Aronson on his outside. We got Suiki and Helmbro in behind, then Holmbom. Then it is Brewster in the 71 on that third row, the first of the drivers on fresher tyres. The pace truck comes in, and a Cancer Awareness 333 is going to go back to green flag racing as the 37 gets us underway for what could be the final time here in Miami. He's got a good launch there, and it's the 2 teammates in behind who've been side by side a few times in this race, and wonder how much they're going to battle, because surely you've got to let Aronson try and chase down the 37 up at the front.
I think both of them will fancy their chances as they make their way out of turn number 2. The race will properly be on now. 31 laps remaining. This will be the shortest green flag run to the end in a intermediate style circuit this season, if indeed it does go to the end. This is a different situation on this type of circuit to what we've seen all season long, as Jesper Eriksson successfully negotiates the first lap of green flag racing.
And with this little amount of laps left, they can definitely push to the end, not worry so much about the tyres, but don't over push them, as you are going to need some speed. Helm, who was leading the race at one point, he then went a lap down. He's on a completely different strategy over the course of the race, but that has been neutralised with that caution, and he's very much in with this fight up inside the top 10.
He's one of those drivers on new tyres, so I think he's got a better chance than a lot credit for at this stage, although the top 5 have remained rock steady and they've not been overtaken by anybody here. Very dangerous tucking into line going on all the way down the line. That was Stiller just tucking up in ahead of Hack and Shot there in 10th position, as these guys seem more occupied with fighting each other than attacking the front 5.
Absolutely, side by side we come through turn 2, and Helm might just have to back out of that one. A great run for Augustin on that outside line, working very nicely for him indeed. That's a bit of a wiggle for Brustrom up ahead, and they need to be careful there. We come here to the race lead though. Helmbro's got up the inside of the 24, who's had a bit of an issue. Saviki's got back past him, but they are seeing Ericsson up ahead, so he hasn't driven away so far.
Yeah, Aronson was really loose through 3 and 4 there, by the way, and he lost the position to Sawicki and Helmbro in a matter of corners. Now it's Helmbro who's loose, and he just tucks up ahead of Aronson, who will just get in behind and continue on. Just sat in behind, by the way, Cedric Holmbom as well in 5th place. The front 5 are the ones who pitted under green, of course, and they are at the moment running away with this as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that those tyres aren't coming into a factor just yet, but it is Brustrom leading the way of the train behind, and he was maybe slightly off the pace in the opening part of the race and maybe slightly holding up those cars behind. We'll have to see, because Holmer, important one, Holmer is the one who's dropped back. I thought he was going to be able to come up and battle with these guys, but it's actually Helm who's making the moves. He's now going to get himself potentially up into that 6th place. So actually it's Augustin who's coming back at him through turns 3 and 4. I think we're almost 3 wide there for a moment. The different lines are played out. Brustrom way up in that high line trying to defend.
Well, we haven't seen anybody quite up that high for a while, but he gets back down again and gets back into 6th place. I'm slightly concerned as to why he's not catching these guys so much at the moment, as we see Sawicki down the inside. Ericsson left him the window of opportunity, and Sawicki goes for it through turn 1 and 2.
Almost a bit of contact quarter to quarter as well as we're down the back straight. The 6 has been in the lead for quite a few laps this race so far. He wants to get that one back. There was me shouting him out at the restart, thinking the 24 was going to be the one to challenge Ericsson, but no, it is Dominic Sawicki in the 6 for Bright Esports. As we come down the front straight, he's going to have to work for it for the best part of a lap, because Ericsson isn't going to give up with this one very easily either, but he's going to make that stick into turn 1.
Very deep into the corner, he doesn't quite stay low. Ericsson will get back on that white line again, and he'll be going now. He will be really motoring on the back straight. He'll get tucked up in the slipstream. Can't quite gain as much though. This will be a fierce battle with 25 laps to go now.
What a race this has turned into. It just squeezed all back together after opening out in that middle part. That caution was perfectly timed to have a sprint to the end, and everyone is pushing the limits in the background. Again, some side-by-side as well as that sort of top 5, top 6 battle continues on. It's Broström and Axon going side-by-side in towards turn 1, and we're now seeing the 77 of Helmbro in that 3rd position, being slightly under attack from the 24, but you know, he's a dark horse in this race too.
Yeah, that's Broström holding on to 6th place in the background. I think anybody inside the top 9 at the moment has got a chance here. Looks like Hagman is really involved in a big fight further back, and that will be them out of contention really. But up front, they have all got the chance of winning here. Sawicki now with 3 full attempts. Ericsson, is he holding back for a push later, or is he struggling?
Sawicki looking strong, isn't he? And this is working out very nicely for the number 6 machine. As in the background, we're still seeing those battles as well. So the top 10, basically all on the screen, whereas really the top 9, because unfortunately Hagman's dropped off the back. Oh, there's contact. That's going up into the wall. It certainly is for the 77. Just the smallest bit of contact. Somehow Ericsson keeps his car in line, but the 77 of Helmbro gets caught up, and that goes into the wall. We're back under caution, 20 laps to go.
Big contact, and it looks like Nicholas Helm has been caught up in it as well, as Helmbro came back down the circuit. He came straight into Helm by the looks of things. We'll have a look a little bit later, of course, but that was a really big hit on the wall for Helmbro.
Oh, that was big indeed. I don't think he's going to be coming back out in this race, and it was just the tiniest bit of contact to the rear of Ericsson's car. And I thought Ericsson was going to get spun up, but in the end, it was the 77 who got pushed up into the wall. Very interesting being the car behind. Maybe it was just a slight overcorrection. We'll have to see that, of course, when we can. As they dive down pit road, the 6 stays out, though. That is important. The 6 has stayed out. It's going to be fresher tyres for those behind, and surely a lot of drivers will follow them in that case. So we've seen Sawicki, Broström, Oxen stay out, and almost everyone behind come in.
I'm not sure that's a very good call, I'm afraid, for the number 6 to stay out, unless there's another caution in which he can be saved. I'm not sure that's a very good call, I'm afraid, to stay out on the racetrack, but we'll see at the moment. For some of the others who are a bit further down, or not, I'm not sure for Sawicki at all.
Yes, the same for Broström, because we're saying he was in a good position being 5-6 laps fresher tyres, but now he's going to be 13 laps older tyres indeed, as the 24 there of course comes out on pit road, 37 in behind, and if they do keep that 7th place, which it looks like they are, then surely with the 18 laps fresher tyres to Sawicki at the front, they'll be able to work their way through even with the short number of laps left.
That's very interesting indeed. That's interesting that Ericsson has been able to get ahead of Ericsson, but anyway, that will be how they line up in what will be row 4 for this restart. I mean, yeah, I think the tyre drop-off here is just going to be far too severe for those who have stayed out, and they really need another caution, to be honest, to really fool Ericsson almost. But I don't know, I'm not sure I see this working. Maybe I'd extend that to the whole of the top 6 now, but I kind of think for the guys like Stiller and Pep, especially, they were so far down the back anyway, they might as well try and get ahead of most of the leaders and hold on.
Absolutely, as we've seen, of course, the next lot of drivers come in. We've got Wildeberg, Pfeffer, Helmbro, of course, after that contact. He's now 3 laps down, still in that pit road. Hogman and Oliver Wallen, who must have been caught up in that as well, because he's 4 laps down. Actually, I think we're saying Ewan Wallen must have been in that caution, in the previous caution that came out just after the previous round of pit stops. Nicholas Helm is out of the race as well, I'm afraid, after that big contact. Let's see how this one worked, though. And it's going to be Helmbro. Just goes up, gets the 37 a tiny bit loose. Yeah, I wonder if there was a bit of contact which made the 37 get loose, though.
Maybe, but I think the end cause is that 37 gets loose and Helmbro goes straight up into the wall as a result. And Helm there didn't have anywhere to go at all, Nicholas Helm. That's a real shame for him. I think that's the 2nd week in a row he's been caught up in something that wasn't really his fault after a fairly consistent run. And he's going to drop further down the point standings, I'm afraid. Certainly behind drivers like Dan Paples, who is still running up inside the top 10 at the moment. He'll probably overtake him. So, yeah, that's not ideal at all for Nicholas Helm.
Yeah, I don't have a stat of how many laps that Helm has been up inside the top 5, top 10 of races this season, but it's been quite a lot. However, he's down in 16th place in the championship as he just keeps on getting involved in these incidents. Very unfortunate there. Such a shame from a driver of the 55 car who looks very strong indeed. But we're going to come back to Green Flag Racing, Ewan, once more. But the issue is the top 6 drivers, the front 3 rows, all on old tyres.
Yeah, how old? Just under 20 in the case of Sawicki, and it's going to be 14 laps on the tyres for those just behind. But they're pretty new tyres, really. In terms of green flag laps, there was only 8 in that last green flag run, so you know that's not too bad at all in terms of wear. But I think later on in the stint is where we're really going to see it. Sawicki's not going to lose the lead here in the first 5 laps to those who pitted in this caution, I don't think. But in those last 5 laps, I'd be surprised if he's still there.
We will certainly find out indeed. The Cancer Awareness 333 has been very interesting indeed, and it comes down to the final 18 laps here. Homestead, Miami, 1.5 miles, and a fun track indeed. We've got Savicki, who's been up the front all day. We've got Brewstrom alongside him, who is on 5-lap fresher tyres, but 15 worse off than the cars in behind. Savicki gets us underway as we come towards the final stages with the sun setting in the background here in Florida. And who is going to win this race? Let's see what the tyre differential is going to do for these battles. Savicki gets a very good run though off that front row, and he's got Linus Brostrom in behind. Any moves though? It looks like it's going to be Ericsson on the outside of a 3 wide down the back straight.
Yeah, I said that, or I thought Stiller and Paples were going side by side, and so Ericsson wouldn't be able to get through on them. But no, he goes 3 wide up high, and he gets 5th position, just ahead of Stiller and Paples. Ericsson will follow through. He's now ahead of Paples. Just look at it in the top right hand side of your screen. There it is, 3 wide, as Stiller's coming back here on Ericsson into 1 and 2.
And Aronson's going to try that still on the inside of a 3 wide situation. He's got to be careful not to run wide. Ericsson leaves all the space in the world going up high. Stiller's slowed the cars down in the background. We've also got Homer as the 24 comes up and almost been a contact with the 37 as well. This, I think, is the battle for the race lead effectively, but they've got to overtake the cars on old tyres ahead of them.
Yeah, and the longer it takes as well, the further Dominic Sawicki and Linus Brostrom especially, and Marvin Atkinson, can get away from the rest. Oh, there's contact! Huge hit on the wall, and there's huge trouble. Into the back of Haken's shot goes Dan Homer, and we somehow stay green.
And has Aronson got involved? Yes, he has. The 24 of Aronson has been hindered by his teammates' hit in towards the wall, and that is going to leave Ericsson with such a good opportunity to win this race. The 2 championship rivals having vastly different outcomes of that crash.
Absolutely. That is a real shame. We'll get another view of that in a few moments' time, but a shame off of turn number 4. We've seen that so many times tonight, haven't we? Issues off of turn number 4, and it has once again brought out our 5th caution of the race.
Absolutely, and that is such a shame for the 24 of Aronson. I'm so disappointed for him. He's been one of the fastest drivers on the track today. Really deserved at least a podium, but you can see him there in the background. He really does have some damage on that car. And that's a tough break. Big tough break. Linus Brostrom as well. He was coming in strong. I wonder, was there contact that sent Brostrom, because he went right, coming out of a left-handed corner. So there must have been something going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. pit stops coming up here, by the way. I think this is exactly what Sawicki was hoping for. Now he's still got one set of tyres lying in the pit lane. He's got to use them. He has to use them here, and he is in. It doesn't matter if you come in alone. Don't worry about it. You've got to come in, and he does. So it's going to be a big dash. There'll be about 10 laps left. He'll be it'll be about 10th probably, because everyone's crashed. But he's going to be on the freshest tyres of everybody, and he's going to have about 10 laps to make 10 overtakes.
And I was about to say, interesting that Dan Holmer's coming in after pitting last time, because he probably doesn't have a set of tyres left. But of course, he was the one who had that damage on the bonnet, and there he is, on the hood, I should say. And hopefully they can tape that one down and get him back out into the race. They should stay on the lead lap, though, which is the important factor. But they will, of course, have some damage on that car, because they probably won't be able to do full repairs. So what is left us with lap 125 of 138 is Melvin Åkesson. He's leading, but he's on 20-lap old tyres. We've got Ericsson Holmbaum in behind on 7-lap old, then Marcus Stiller on 20 laps, Pebbles on 19, then Hogman and Sawicki, who's going to be on fresh tyres. So it's actually a complete mess at the front there. We've got old, medium and new tyres, and it's going to be, 10 laps or maybe 12 to the end at the green flag.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting. And because of all the crashes as well, Sawicki's only dropped to 7th in that pit stop. So he will be right there on row 4. This is the contact. It was contact for Broström. Then he was hit by a shot. Then Aronson got hit into the back of him as well. So, it would be very unlike Linus, to be fair, to make a mistake like that, and that just confirms it. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, couldn't quite see the car on the inside, but big contact for the 71, who is, he's doing well in the championship, but of course he hasn't got that win, and that's something he really struggled with last season until we got to the double header at North Wilkes and was able to win. I believe it was the second race on that evening. Aronson winning the other, and was able to lock himself into the playoffs that way, but so far not getting what he would have wanted, as we are going to be lining up very shortly. We have some cars in contact with some damage, I should say. The 086, they've got damage on that front right-hand side. There are teammates around, though, with Ericsson and Holmbaum in behind, but that's going to be tough for him to hold on with those older tyres.
Certainly is. By the way, I think that's Linus Broström's first involvement in a caution, or certainly the first time being the cause of the caution anyway, today. So that just says it all about his season. He's had a very good, clean and consistent season, but now that's come to an end, and it's given us this situation here. I still think Jesper Eriksson's the favourite, but do not count out Sawicki by any means.
Oh, it was the 086.
Wow.
So it was Åkesson, then he, unfortunately, Broström ends up hitting two teammates with the 101 and the 24. Big shame. And yeah, just coming up wide was the 086. So I wonder if there may end up being penalties and stuff, of course, after the race. But that is for another time. And Åkesson can still try and get as many points as he can. He's got teammates just rode up behind him with the 10 and the 329. He's looking strong. At least Sim Race Sweden are looking strong to try and get this win.
They certainly are, but when don't they? I mean, they are always
True.
right up there and right around the race-winning part. So absolutely, it's not a surprise by any means that they are going to be right there or thereabouts. But let's wait and see just who takes the race victory. That's going to be most interesting out of this one. As I say, I'm still counting Ericsson as the favourite, but I'm not counting anybody out, because anything can happen here in this final 11-lap green flag run, the shortest green flag run on an intermediate circuit we're going to have to the flag, if indeed it is a run to the flag, unless we have, of course, another green white checker for the second round in a row.
Yeah, we could indeed get a 2-lap dash at the end, but we won't know until we get to that lap 137 to try and find out. Pace truck comes in. The cancer awareness 333 is ebbed and flowed, and it's still unpredictable who's going to win. When we get to that checker in 11 laps time, no one can put the power down as they're wiggling all over the place. Look out, of course, for Sawicki in the red car, the 6. He's on fresh tyres compared to all of these cars ahead. Watch for him coming through. We're 3 wide with Marcus Hogman going high, but the 086 still leads out front.
Look at that, round the outside, squeeze in, Stiller right through the middle, and Sawicki goes down on the low side here of Hogman, and now Dan Peoples as well. Sawicki looks like he's going to have made up 2 places in one here. Meanwhile, Jesper Eriksson has been overtaken by Cedric Holmbaum. So already Sawicki and Eriksson are nose to tail again, only 1 lap in.
And this is a big tyre advantage, though, for Sawicki on Eriksson. He's got 7 laps fresher tyres. That will be a factor, even with the low number of green laps you've had in the last 20 laps or so, as the 2 teammates go side by side, the 10 and the 0.86. Down the back straight away is the youngest driver on the field, going to lead across the line as they go side by side in towards turn number 3, as the 10 has the low line. Of course, Eriksson has got the older tyres on that machine, and he's going to be struggling, but they're potentially trying to block off the 6 machine who's coming in. He's looking very fast. He should have the race lead on pace, but can he find a way through?
You can just tell Eriksson was looking in his left-hand mirror there, making sure the 6 couldn't go 3 wide and go on the very, very low side here. He knows he has to stay ahead of him. I don't think if Eriksson is passed by Sawicki here, he can get back past again. So he's got to keep him behind, while also working on a move on Holmbaum as well.
The outside line, that's where we saw the contact with the 77 and the 37, but the 6 does not do that this time around. It really is getting dark out there on the track as well, as the 6 goes to the outside line for the second time of asking in towards turn number 1. He's got the tyre grip, but can he keep it high enough to not make contact? When we squeeze up together on the exit, the 37 keeps it low. Now he slowly works his way up, but the 6 has made it through. He should have that one down the back straight.
Absolutely flying down the back straight. Dominic Sawicki is surely the favourite now as he gets through on Eriksson in towards 3 and 4. There's still 7 to go. Plenty of time for him to work on his move. Cedric Holmbaum, by the way, Holmbaum and Eriksson and Hogman for that matter are all on the same life of tyre. This is their 14th lap now on this set.
Absolutely, and so the next person on the fresh tyres is actually Eriksson, who's in 7th place after being involved in that wreck at the previous caution. Can he find a podium at the end? He's just 1 second off it, and imagine if he actually finishes ahead of Eriksson. My words were that after the crash they went in very separate directions, but the 24 actually still has an opportunity here, but he's got to make it work in his final 6 laps of the race, and the 6 is coming in strong.
It's unbelievable that Eriksson's car looks like it does after only 14.8 seconds in the pit box. But anyway, he is still running well and on for a top 10 very possibly. But who's going to win here? Sawicki and Holmbaum, the 2 favourites as things stand. Cedric Holmbaum, of course, looking for his first, as Sawicki is as well, looking for his first win in this season. And it's side by side in towards 3 and 4.
And this is very important for these drivers who may, lock themselves into the playoffs with a victory. The 10 has gone wide, though. It's the up and under for the 6 on the exit of 4. Can he make it stick here into turn 1? He's done it. He's had to get through 6 cars on that restart with the fresher tyres, working out well for the driver who's led quite a few laps this race already. And surely now it's his to lose with 5 to go.
Yeah, the new tyres have won out here. Holmbaum did his best, but the undercut there was fantastic from Sawicki, and Holmbaum just was never going to be able to drive around the outside of him there through 1 and 2 either. And so Dominic Sawicki is in the lead of this race, and he is surely roaring home to victory. 4 laps to go. He's just got to hope and pray there's not another caution or a second wind here from Holmbaum or Eriksson.
And let's still praise this performance from the number 10 machine. He's 29th place in the standings, youngest driver on the field, and is looking potentially at a podium if he can hold on for these final few laps of the race. Eriksson is still there, unfortunately, in that P6, though. He's got stuck behind, but he might actually have Eriksson down this back straight, and that is going to be an important one. If he can get in that top 5, he will still have a chance to catch Hogman up ahead, but time is running out as we're coming on to lap 136.
Time is certainly running out here. Holmbaum is driving very well, though. Looking better than Eriksson is at this stage in the race, it has to be said. As you mentioned, way down in the standings. This will be a good points day for him, even if it's not a race victory that can lock him into the playoffs. But after missing 1 round earlier this season, of course, he is naturally a little bit further behind than you otherwise might expect in this championship. Just 2 to go, though, and he leads comfortably now, Sawicki, as Alexander Eriksson's back in the top 5.
but not without a bent front nose, and the 86 trying to dive up his inside, but I think the 24 is okay for now. There's 2 laps to go at the line, 3 miles remaining of the Cancer Awareness 3:33. It looks like it's going to be Savicki winning this race, but who is going to get the final podium spot? I think Horgman is actually too far behind, so that might be game, set and match for that. But can Ericsson do anything to gain those couple of seconds that he needs on the fresher tyres? The top 4 looking strong though as he come down the back stretch.
He certainly is. He's doubled the margin he had since he made the overtake. He just needs to get to the white flag here. And a caution, even then, can't interrupt him. Just 2.4 kilometres remaining as they hit the white flag. Dominic Sawicki looks like he's on his way to victory.
He certainly is. Homestead Miami has been a crazy one. We had a couple of cautions to start. We barely got going through the first lap before we had the first one. We had a long green flag run. Savicki trying something with the strategy, but a perfectly timed caution and a perfectly timed pit stop at the end with a second caution has put him on fresher tyres, and he's driven through the field on this final 11-lap dash to the end. And for Bright Esports in the number 6, they're going to lock themselves into the playoffs. And what a move from the driver who's 10th place in the standings, but now we will see him when we get to the playoffs. It's Dominic Savicki who wins the Cancer Awareness 3:33.
Fantastic drive from Dominic Sawicki. He did play a little bit of a gamble by staying out under that penultimate caution. I think if there wasn't going to be another one, then he would have been toast in this race, but in the end he held his nerve more than anybody else, the only driver to pit under that last caution, and it was that life in those tyres that gave him the opportunity to win, and of course he did the rest.
And what a final sprint to the end that was, the 11 laps. Savicki had to work for it as well. Even though you're on fresher tyres, he had 3 teammates trying to, naturally block him up ahead, but he was able to find his way through, get them offline, and we're going to see, I'm sure, some donuts being had here for the number 6. He comes into this series and he shows some good speed, but wasn't quite able to get the results. But now he is going to be in the playoffs, and that is crucial because the next 9 rounds, he's going to be able to just collect some extra playoff points if he can, and if not, he'll just get some more experience before we get to Las Vegas in March. And it's great to see these celebrations from the 6 who really deserved that one in the end. It's a shame for the likes of Aronson dropping down in the end. He did get P5, but that's what happens when you go a little bit back into the pack on those fresher tyres. Sometimes you get caught up in a wreck.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the risk always taken as we have a look at the results.
Certainly do. So 138 laps today. The Cancer Awareness 3:33 goes to Savicki in the number 6 for Bright Esports. He wins by 3/4 of a second to Cedric Holmbaum, P2 for the number 10 machine. That is a very good result for him as he ever improves in this championship. Jesper Eriksson, a solid 3rd place for him after a couple of wins on the bounce. Shouldn't be too disappointed with that one. With Marcus Horgman for MHE Racing, another top performance for him to get up inside the top 4. Aronson will finish in P5 after almost being out of the race. Åkesson, Peppels, Stiller, Vudeber and Wang round out your top 10, with a few of those drivers actually having quite a few issues, but the cautions bringing them back into it. Savicki also got the fastest lap there on lap 129 as we got to the restart on those fresher tyres. Daniel Holmer, your pole position driver, went to the back, came to the front, and then finished in P11, the last driver on the lead lap. Then the drivers laps down Pfeffer, Kinnell, Motin, Hogström, Broström, Oliver Wallen. He had a tough day today, didn't he, down in P17. Nordgren, Tuominen and Anton Brackberg. These drivers multiple laps down after getting involved in some contact. And then, of course, we'll see quite a few of the other drivers go through. We got Tier, Schott, Broström, Helmbro down at P25 in the end after that big crash with Jesper Eriksson, Lundberg, Dahlström, Forslund, and of course Daniel Blomqvist, the 29 cars who attended this race today. And we don't have Dominic Savicki just yet, but so actually no, he does join us in the commentary booth. So let's bring him in for an interview. And the driver of the number 6 Bright Esports, Dominic Savicki, has joined us. And congratulations, Dominic. That was a very tough race indeed. But first of all, just talk us through those final 10 laps where you had to get through quite a few teammates from the Sim Race Sweden cars.
Yeah, thanks. It was hard work for sure. I didn't expect that at all. I was starting, I think, from 8th or 7th, and I thought it's gonna be disaster. And there's so many cars, from the same organization in front. I didn't thought I can get through all of them, but luckily the quickest car out of them had some damage, I think, and I could pass them all and make my first win here.
Absolutely, and even in that middle part of the stint, you were looking very strong. Did you have a feeling that you had the pace to win today?
Yeah, I know I had the pace as far as I won't kill my tires, and today was actually quite good. So I like the conditions, I like how the car was handling, and I could drive really smooth today. Actually, the second stint, even though I get the lead and led a bunch of laps, it was really, really bad because I couldn't find the rhythm. I was running wide without intention of going high, and it cost me a few tenths for sure, but happy to be where I am right now.
Absolutely, and that locks you into the playoffs. So we'll see you in Las Vegas in March. How is your driving going to be over the next 9 rounds to finish the regular season? Are you going to be just as aggressive as you have been all season, or are you going to maybe try and help your teammates get into the playoff as well?
Yeah, for sure. I will not try to be as aggressive as I was now because, some races were really bad for sure in the past. I was too aggressive. I could have done better. And for sure. It's nice to be part of Bright Esports, and I for sure help them get to Las Vegas at top 15 with me.
Absolutely, and of course, we do, have a road course race coming up. How are you feeling in the car on the road course?
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait because I feel really good on road courses. I'm mostly a road guy, but I have very little experience with these cars on road courses, and it's way different to what I know, what I am used to, which is like GT3 cars. And yeah, we'll see how it will go. I hope for a good result as well there. Top 5 at least would be nice, and maybe I can fight for the win. We'll see. I'm not sure how others are doing, how is their road craft here. So we'll see, but I'm really, really looking forward to the next race. Absolutely.
Good job today, and congratulations on your victory.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And shout out to Bright Esports for preparing this amazing machine. And also thanks for the broadcast, guys. You're doing a really good job.
Yeah, no worries. We'll see you soon. Cheers. And we will now bring in Jesper Eriksson of the number 37. A solid drive today, getting a 3rd position finish. Of course, Jesper, you had a couple of wins recently, so not necessarily a victory, but surely you must still be pretty happy with that, getting ahead of most of your championship rivals.
Yeah, of course, that was a really good result, even winning the stage and leading the most laps. So I'm really happy with today's result. I did want the win though, but Dominic did an amazing job the whole race through, and super congrats to Cedric on his 2nd position, which is absolutely phenomenal. He really got a good start, last restart, and just flew away, and I'm really happy for him too. So I'm happy today actually for 3rd place.
Absolutely. And how do you feel though with the Bright Esports cars coming at you a little bit? Of course, we've got the 24 and the 6 there, but also Linus Broström is slightly off pace today, but I assume at some point he's probably going to get a win and lock himself into the playoffs. So how are you feeling with that rivalry between your team Race Sweden and Bright Esports?
Oh, I'm used to it. No, but it's great. They're a great couple of guys. I love talking to them without outside the races, and it's a great chemistry and just friendship between us, and so it's nice. Past teammates, both Linus and Alex, so have a lot of respect between each other, and we know how we rate it out. And it's just great. I love the rivalry. It's friendly.
Absolutely, but you did have one, I don't know how you saw it from your perspective, but you had one pretty major incident with Peter Helmbro and the 77 machine coming through turns 3 and 4. How did you see that from your perspective with him just going to outside?
Oh, from my it's quite hard in the car to know what happened, but from my perspective, I know he was faster throughout the corners than me because I had a bit problem with overheating tires, so I did go a little bit slower. But from my side, it felt like he came onto my rear, and I lost it onto him. So we'll see what the judges say about it, but that's my point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I'm sure you're looking good for the rest of the season, so we wish you luck. I guess we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, we will. Cheers, guys.
Absolutely. So that concludes the interviews here from Homestead, Miami. And what a race it was. We had long green flag periods, but we had some cautions at the end, which changed things massively. But, of course, we go to Indianapolis in a couple of weeks' time, the 7th of November, 8 p.m. CEST. And that will be a very interesting one indeed, bringing out the road course variant. So something a bit different as we get towards the mid part of this regular season. But that is us done here from Homestead. The Cancer Awareness 333 goes to the 6 of Dominic Savicki, and he puts himself into the playoffs. Who can do that next time at Indianapolis? We'll have to find out. Thanks for watching. It's been myself, Cameron Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. And until next week, when we go back IndyCar racing, we'll see you then.